So you did. So let's start getting into your. So you've done some other races leading up to your what was the Spartan?
Yeah, Spartan
You've done
Ultra.
some other.
Yep.
So what got you into that?
Yeah, so
Talk me through that path.
yeah, so obviously first thing was running, half marathons, 5Ks, things like that all around like
Okay, I'll
crazy.
stop you.
Yeah.
So tell me about your first marathon. Was it just? Do you remember your first marathon?
Yeah.
So mine was pain. Mine was misery. I fell apart.
Really?
Did you just? How'd that go for you?
I was training for a while for it, so I was like absolutely well prepared, and this is like years after. This is years after doing so many halves, like sprint triathlons,
right.
and so that's not a big deal. It was the Spartan Ultra that was, like I said, even though it was a rough time in my life. I had just gotten divorced, couldn't always get out there as much as I had to. But to get back to your question, what was I was gonna do an Ironman. I walk into my buddy's office one day, and he's on the computer. He's a doctor. He's like, "You ever hear about this?" I go, "What? What is it?" He goes, "Spartan? I don't know. What is it?" And then I would try anything, And he's showing me all these different options. I go, "Yeah, let's do it."
But you'd done some obstacle course kind of like.
Prior to that, no.
Okay, so that was your first.
No, so the first
Gotcha.
one that we did was a half, which was 13 point whatever miles. They can always range from like 13 to 16 depending on the distance and how they set up the course. And that first year we did it, gosh, this is...
Oh, so you'd done some of the shorter distances to lead up to the 30.
The first one that I did was the half, and it was the championship at Killington that year, and we had no idea. Had absolutely no idea what we...
Were you thinking it's kind of more like the Tough Mudders, kind of like a fun?
I wasn't thinking any of it, because I've never done one before. We just happened to choose one of the most aggressive ones.
Right, because I've seen the Tough Mudders and things like that, and they haven't... They look like fun to me.
Yeah.
But it's like... I've noticed that I've been drawn to things where I have... you mentioned it before. I'm gravitating to things that I have a 50-50 shot on.
Sure.
Am I gonna...
Yeah.
If it's easy for me...
Yeah.
And and you see some pretty heavy people finishing in Tough Mudder.
Sure.
Sure. That's not exactly what I'm trying to push myself.
Right.
And I had no idea that until I saw your article on the Spartan, I didn't even know that was a thing. Like, how hard this... So, yeah. So
the most difficult event in my life, absolutely, for sure.
So this first one you're not properly trained.
So this first one I'm not properly trained. I was still going to the gym a lot, and I was running, and we were doing a lot of halves, and so I was okay. I was physically fit to do it. Just like right now, you could get out there, and there's no doubt that you could do it. You're physically fit. You could do it. The muscle memory's there. May not be a phenomenal time, but you could do it. The ultra, and then just year after year, we just did. There was a group of us actually at the gym at the time, Union Street Athletics. We had our own kind of Spartan racing team. We had our own obstacle course outside the gym, and we would train just constantly, and then.
So let's talk about that first one.
Yeah.
So you get done it, and are you immediately addicted? Or are you like, that was crazy?
Oh, I loved it immediately. Like I loved it. The problem that I would do these things with various people, is that I know that I can't do it with somebody else. At least not at that time. And my goal was to stay with my friend and his brother, and that didn't pan out, because first they're like, yeah, just go ahead and meet us. And so I come around, and I ask his wife, I'm like, have you seen them? Where are they? I'm like over here. They should be at, and they're just like, go. Like we haven't seen. They're like, just go. So I'm like, okay, I know now that I have to run on my own. Which, for me, that's fine. Where people had a goal to be able to keep up with me.
Right.
I had a goal to let them not catch me. It was, I had.
Right.
I had a goal, and I had the time, I was divorced, and well, you know how much time it takes. You're out there for hours and hours and hours, and I'm like, it kept me focused, and I did another Spartan race, and they're like, back then.
So let me ask you.
Yeah.
Building up to that next one, how do you adapt your training now that you've experienced it?
Yeah.
Because I'm very interested in like, how do you even train for one of these?
Yeah, so luckily there's a good group of instructors at the gym at the time, and there was a bunch of people that were just starting to get into this.
Mm-hmm.
So hence why they did like a mini obstacle course.
I remember when they first built that thing.
Yeah.
Just before they built it, Dee and I were going to Union Street for a little while.
Okay.
Which I loved.
Yeah,
It was just a little out of the way from here.
Yeah, no, I get it. I completely get it.
I love like their spin classes and with the less miles.
Yeah.
The
body pump and body attack and combat and all
all
that
those
stuff.
classes.
Yeah,
like, I was like, sign me up for all.
Yep.
I'd do one, jump in the spin, do another. And, but
that was a huge part of it. So you do 2 or 3 classes, then you hit outside, or you hit pads and you do boxing with someone, and the instructors really took a liking to it and would research how to train for an obstacle course race. So I don't recall which night, I don't know, say it was like, a Wednesday or like a Thursday night after we're done with class, we all go outside and they're like, okay, start with, 20 bucket carries with 5, back and forth, start with this, start with that.
Right.
And they would help train us. But for me, my mindset, do whatever I can wherever possible. And I would be at the gym early in the morning or late at night. Some of the instructors would be like, okay, leave this for Brian before he leaves, before you leave. And they were integral in helping me succeed. Before you leave, you need to go do X amount of laps, X amount of burpees, climb the rope X amount of times. Like, they were helping me prepare, because I got an email saying that, you're at that time you had to like qualify and stuff like that you could run ultra elite. You could easily do it based on your time. Not easily complete it.
Right.
It had like a 26% finish rate, but they're like, you could do it. And then I'm like, all right, game on. And the funny thing is, I almost backed out.
Yeah.
I felt just a tremendous amount of pressure.
How close to the race are we talking?
I mean, like, probably like a month before, I'm like, I can't do this. I've gotten in like 4 long runs.
And we're talking about the big one now.
Yeah, this is like the.
It's 30 miles.
It was 36. Yeah.
And that's. I've been to Killington in the winter. I'm guessing it's up and down around the mountain.
It's up and down. It's up, down, around the death climb, which is like a double black. You just head down and you just go. You just go.
So you're thinking about quitting.
The month before, I'm like, I can't do this. And to this day, Linda Poirier, she sends me like this inspirational email. I know you're going through it. You have this. And honestly, like that, like one email gave me so much motivation to complete it. But I felt the pressure of everyone at the gym. Like, you're going to be fine. And, we'd be outside. I'd be, running laps and obviously going around these people. But I felt a lot of pressure. Even during the race, I felt the pressure. Felt great like the entire time. Felt good, was pacing myself, halfway point, felt good, got a good time. Everyone there to support me. And the amount of respect that you get on that race course when you're running an ultra. People just get out. That you're gonna be zipping by them, because you have to learn to move very effectively and efficiently through the mountain, especially in the downhill. Like, you're grabbing trees, you're swinging around, like you're constantly looking, boom, 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 like, because you have to move or else you won't finish.
Well, before we get to that though, so I wanted to ask you the pressure part.
Yeah.
I think I like that though.
Yeah.
Like, I'll tell people, okay, I'm doing this race, and now and whether or not they're putting any pressure on me, like,
right.
I'm committed to this. I have a goal this year to run a certain race, and now I love how locked in I get, and as I get closer, I get more and more locked in, and I feel that pressure you're talking about.
Yeah.
And I even know that the want to quit, the doubt in myself, like
Yeah.
all the emotions that go up leading up to a
Mhm.
race. I think but I think I like that pressure.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of what gets me up every day.
Yeah.
And gets me going. Do you kind of feel that way? Or?
Yeah, I do. I don't mind. I don't mind pressure, but this was like, and I don't mind taking on challenges. I've been that way my whole entire life. But as I mentioned previously, this was the first event that I had a genuine fear of failing. I mean, I'm looking at people that are just shredded, like
Right.
they're not finishing. I'm reading blogs, been training forever, not finishing. I'm seeing a 20% finish rate. And I'm just like, holy cow, if these guys aren't doing it, how the hell am I going to do
Right.
it? You know, I'm like, how? It's a mindset for sure. Like, it is a mindset, without a doubt. It's a mindset that I'm gonna. Once you're locked, you're locked. Because
And what happens if you don't?
you don't, but we're hard on ourselves,
But if
you
don't-
know?
If you don't finish,
Yeah.
you probably just gear up for next year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Oh, right,
you know,
right.
but we do put that pressure on ourselves.
Absolutely. And it was...
So what's it like to start? Like I want to go through this whole process.
Yeah,
So I don't want to
yeah.
get too far ahead.
No,
So
yeah.
what's it like starting at the starting line? Or is it a staggered start? Because there's...
So yeah,
Whatever
there
starts
is
to
waves. So we were in the first wave because it's staggered. I think it's like 15, 20 minutes.
Right.
You know,
Because
where-
obviously you can't have everybody hitting one.
No.
obstacle at a time.
No. So we're in the first wave. I think that we started at 6 a.m. You know, I mean, your adrenaline is just. You're like, I mean, you're in. It's still dark out there because it's September. You know, like
When about to start?
like the end of
early.
September.
No,
yeah.
time wise.
Oh, 6 a.m.?
Yeah.
I believe it was 6 a.m. So you try to sleep the night before the best that you can. And, and your adrenaline is just pumping. You're warming up just like any other race. You're going back and forth. You're stretching.
Did you do like carb loading the night before?
Oh God, I had like a whole large pizza, a couple glasses of wine. Like I was all carved up for sure.
Did that work out well? Or
Yeah, no, pizza's always my routine. I know it sounds crazy, but it usually is. And felt good, had my coffee in the morning, had a light breakfast, high protein, and just I'm like, okay, here it is. Like,
Are you confident when you're at that starting line?
I am, but the anxiety is, kicking, and it's not like I'm, gonna win this race. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
The smaller ones, perhaps, like stadium races. Yeah, I came close. But this, people are getting paid.
Right.
I want to finish it.
Right,
And that's what
It's
I
your
want
first
to
time
do.
facing this distance.
Right. I'm like, I just want to finish this, and they're calling everyone down to the line, and like, just so you know, the actual length today is going to be more closer to 36. And I'm just like, oh.
What were you expecting?
Well, you don't know. I mean, so the thing is, the ranges when it's a beast. I think the minimum. Now you can't quote me because it's been so long.
Yeah.
The minimum is like 13, but it can go up to 16. Like, so there's thresholds for in order to, and the same thing with the ultra. The minimum has to be, I want to say like 31 or 32, but it can go up to 36. So it's
Right,
like,
right.
and that's Spartan. Like, they change it. They throw surprises at you.
There's a Mike Tyson quote where he says he's in the locker room before a fight and they're wrapping him and he's just full of fear. He's terrified.
Yeah.
And then as he's walking down, his confidence is building. And he goes, and then I step in the ring and I'm a god.
Yeah.
Is what he
Yeah.
said.
No, that's,
But
yeah.
I've since kind of hearing him say that in some of the races I've done, like I allow myself because of because I have that like that doubt in myself building up.
Yeah.
And then I remember like my last Ironman, by the time I got to that start line, I was like, I'm the best.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a god.
Right.
I know I'm not.
No,
but like you're letting yourself
Mhm.
feel it and everything that's built up. And another thing that kind of I found really kind of, somebody was talking about that you're in a race and you're doubting yourself. And I think it was Zach Bitter, who's a ultra runner, and he was saying, I don't think of it as this is 100 miles that I'm running.
Mm-hmm.
This is the 8 months that led up to this 100 miles.
Right.
I'm that close to the finish line from
Right.
8 months.
It's a good perspective.
Yeah, I was like, I'm just in this small part.
Yeah, that's a good perspective.
because your mind plays so many games with you.
So many games.
Leading up to it.
And
trying to keep you feel the adrenaline at the start, but
mm-hmm.
you can't let it go too hard.
Right.
You know, you gotta.
Right.
So the gun goes off, and So talk me through what. Just your brief description in that article is about all I know about what these races are like.
Yeah.
Like how. I know you're doing lots of burpees if you don't complete.
Right.
So what kind of obstacles are you having to give me an idea?
Yeah, I mean, so there's so many. I mean, there's swimming obstacles. There's monkey bars. There's climbs. There's bucket carries like like bucket carries up one of these steep hills. It's like a 5-gallon bucket, and it's a long climb just with these buckets.
And if you fail,
so no, there's some of them are mandatory. Like if you don't complete this obstacle, you are absolutely
like
disqualified.
A bucket carry, you have to get up.
Yeah, so you have to
but
just
a monkey bar if you fall half
30 burpees. Yeah, it's not it's not mandatory, but there's a lot of mandatory obstacles like that. And it's September, so that water's like freezing. So you you jump in the water. I don't know the swim distance. I mean, it's not much, but you have to go. You swim to the certain checkpoint, and then you climb up this ladder, and then you have to swing across 5 rings, tap the bell, go back in the water, swim to the others, and you're freezing. You're absolutely freezing, and you're just hoping that you warm up soon, you don't cramp up, you don't cramp out. Then there's things, there's Atlas carries, you carry this big huge cement ball over to the other side, then you do it again, then you drag. I mean, there's over 30 something obstacles, and none of them are easy. Like some are easier than others, but none of them are easy. And then like walls, like it'll be a 4-foot wall, then an 8-foot wall, then a 10-foot wall. You can't get any help. Because you're in the elite, so you can't get any help, and they're actually, so you're wearing special bibs. So there's certain judges at certain marks that are watching you.
Right.
They're watching you specifically. There was a point where I did extra push-ups just because I didn't want to miss one. Like I've been training for this event, for a while, and then you run 10 miles up a hill and doing all these weird exercises and weight challenges, and then you gotta climb a rope. You're so fatigued, you don't have anything left in your upper body. It's like start here monkey bars, picture 3 times the size of this room, you have to get all across, and it's just it's just insane. It's whatever they can do to make it hard, that's exactly what they do. And when you'll turn the corner, you see something, and you just like, you gotta be kidding me. You gotta be kidding me. You're like, you gotta be kidding me. But like you said, you're like, oh my God, and I feel good. And when you're running, for me, where I picked up time is the downhill and running through the woods. I just flew.
Yeah, you were saying that.
Like I just always have flew through the woods. You do so many of them. You just like you with your Ironmans, and like, you just have this certain way of running now, right? So you fly in through the woods, and people will look, and they'll just, they see your bib, and they're just like ultra coming through, because there's a few of us, they just, you're flying through, you're passing everyone, you have to make it, and they just step aside, and they're just like, nice job, ultra, like, nice job. That's lifting. It's it's positive and encouraging. And
I love the whole atmosphere of these types of
Oh, so do I. It's just, the most gratifying physical experience I've ever had in my life, just to get that medal, to have so many people congratulate you, like people that aspire to do that, people that did it that day, that failed at the after, they're just like, hats off, like, I don't know if I could go through that again. It's just, it makes you feel good, because they realize how much hard work goes into it.
Right.
Then there was somebody else, and then you get around a certain point, you still have a few more obstacles to finish, and these obstacles because where the fin, and then you see that emotions, like I ended up kind of going around with this guy who told me his whole life story about his weight issues, his family, divorce, kids, everything, and how he got into it, and you're just filled filled with so much emotion. You're drained. You're absolutely drained. You know the emotion at the end. Like, I can't believe I just did this. I just can't believe I conquered this. Yeah. And then you have all these people from, the gym that you've been training with for so many years. Everyone's just kind of, celebrating it. And then, the next day they were friends that were running like a 5K, version of this, and you still having, ultra stuff, and people are just like, they're just so respectful of you because they know the hard work that went into it, and you doubt yourself, did I really just do that? Right. Because other people are coming up to you that are 80 times in better shape, like appearance-wise, like block of cheese, rub it against their abs, like lean, and they're like, yeah, I didn't finish it, and so everyone has their breaking point. That breaking point could be a sprained ankle at any time.
Right. And
that's another thing. It is completely common to see injuries all around you.
Especially going downhill.
And you just keep, you're right. I mean, what are you going to, there's so many people there and medics all over the place, ambulances all over the place. Right. You'll sometimes hear medic, broken bones, popped out this, like it's everywhere. Hypothermia, you see it all the way around.
But what was the temperature of that day about?
I don't know.
But was it a comfortable sunny kind of day?
Yeah, no. I mean, it's cold in the water. Like there's no doubt. I mean, it was okay. You obviously like it a little bit warmer. I mean, September, it's Killington, it's Vermont. Right. But it was okay. But yeah, it's just I can't even begin to describe it. And after that, I'll go back to that race. But after I ran another race. This was just, it's when another friend of mine started getting into it. It's another version of it. It's called the Super. That's like 10 miles. It's done on a farm in Massachusetts. Same idea. It's got up and down, but it's not a mountain. And I swear, I had PTSD. I do. I really, I had PTSD all over again. And I was just like, oh my God. I was like, I don't know if I want to go through this again. I'm like, I mean, I have sustained lots of injuries from these things. Labrum tears, sprained ankles, torn ligaments, and, tore my labrum on a ring. I knew it right when it happened. And I'm just like, because I can't hold back. So if I'm in it, I'm in it. There's no just trotting along.
Right.
I'm in it. And, a good friend of mine, Craig, he wants to do the ultra, which he'll get there. There's no doubt. You could probably do it now, but he wants me to do it. I'm like, I think my days of that training is over. It's got little guys at home now. My stepdaughter, soon to be stepdaughter, is 10, and it's just it for me at this point. It's about I'll find another challenge. I don't know if you know Tom Hennigan, he's who I ran the half with. Well, he's like, let's do a marathon. I'm like, all right, let's do one more marathon. And so for me, it's maintaining, maybe accomplishing something else. I could change my mind. I don't know the answer to that. Right. I don't know the answer to that. Right. I always told my son that I will run an obstacle course race with you whenever you're ready. That's something different. That's father son, happy to do it. But as far as the what's next, I don't know. Yeah. I'm sure you're like me. You will constantly think about the what's next. Yeah. It's I don't know.
So how wrecked were you after that race? How sore were you? I can't imagine all that went into what you just described. I've been working out for years, but I don't know if, and I can push myself pretty hard, but there's a lot that goes into like you said, the upper body. There's so much to that race.
Yeah, there is.
You have to be so strong in endurance-wise, strong.
Yeah.
Because it's one thing to be able to lift a certain amount of weight, but to be able to kind of lift your body weight over and over and over.
Right.
And I look at myself now, I'll go to do some chin-ups or something like that, and I'm nowhere near what I was 10 years ago.
Not even close. I'm not even where it is. I'm like, oh my gosh, Right. And Kim's like, you're not getting any younger. It's even once we reach a certain age, I think 5 years, it changes. Your body composition changes. And I don't know, but I can't. Then I was training like 4 or 5 hours, like it was nothing.
Right.
Like it was absolutely nothing.
Right.
I wasn't too like. I was more prepared than I thought. Not as much as I'd like. I actually wasn't too bad. I remember like just like eating like crazy for like what seemed to be like a week. Like just everything inside, just not sleeping, hungry, just constantly.
Right. Did you have any of the post-race kind of depression?
No, I was actually riding the high for quite a while. Like I get random emails and calls from people that I didn't even know, and people asking me about it, and then received a call from the Bangor Daily,
right?
And I didn't recognize the voice, and he's like, and I think that's how it all perhaps got together. I don't know, but at that time it was a reporter who was an instructor at the gym. So I don't know. He just called. He's like, "You mind if I ask you like a few questions?" And I go, "Yeah, I don't care," and
right.
Just kind of describing it. And it's tough to, like I said, describe something like that. It's like you trying to describe an Ironman to someone that's never really cycled or swam, or to try to outline the obstacles. You have to be like, go look at Spartan, check it out, look at to see what some of these obstacles, and then and there's about whatever, like 60 something of them or whatever.
There's probably tons of little videos online. I mean, you can.
Oh yeah, no, there's Spartan today is still it's still huge, and then there's this one obstacle that I've never completed in my years and years and years of doing it. In fact, I get to this obstacle, I automatically just start doing my burpees. It's a spear throw. All it is, it's a spear, and you have to throw it at the target. I have never completed it. So I get there, I just immediately start doing.
What's the hard? What's the hard part about it? Like,
I don't know. Maybe I just don't have the aim, the posture right. I just have never been able to hit it.
Do you have one throw?
I think you have 3 attempts. You have 3 attempts, then you have to go to the burpee zone.
And are you hitting the target?
Yeah, you just have to have it. So it's a metal spear. You just have to make it sit on this big hay target.
Are you hitting it? It's not.
Sometimes I hit it. It doesn't stick in. Sometimes it goes over. And then after like a few years, I'm just like, I'm wasting more time. This is when I'm running competitively for my own time, and I want to compete. I want to be in the top end of my division. And,
water there.
yeah, thank you. And I'm just like, so at this point, I'm just like, I know my limits. I'm not going to do it.
Right.
Grip strength is definitely huge, because there's a lot of obstacles. I don't know if you've ever seen like American Ninja Warrior or anything like that. Yeah, so there's things like that where you just have these tiny little things, and you have to. Luckily, I'm pretty flexible, so I'm able to like kind of go it. But you need that grip strength. So there's a lot of things like that, and a lot of times when I would do, like the obstacle course, like I would practice with the weight vest on. You mentioned the body pump class. So the instructors would be like, don't think Brian's crazy, even though he is, but like after every, we do chest, or we do buys, or we do back, like all in between, I would run out in the hall and do burpees in between sets, just to keep me ready, because I always knew when people were training for Spartan races, because we've done a bunch of the Tough Mudders, and that was just a fun thing, helping people through it, and then I'd go on an obstacle, help people, run back, run forward. It was fun. And then you see people doing burpees along the Tough Mudder. And I'd be like, you practicing for a Spartan race? They're like, yep. I'm like, okay. So I figured. Why else would you be doing it?
Yeah. You did a lot of burpees that day, didn't you?
Oh, God.
The article said so.
Yeah, I can't even. There was 60 something obstacles, and an obstacle you fail is 30 burpees,
They're just saying if I had to pop down to 100 right now, that'd be a workout in itself.
Of course.
Everything else.
Yeah, but back then, just like you took the time to train. You had. There's times I'm out here at 10 o'clock at night with the headlamp. Just wasn't going for time. Just like, I'm running 4 hours tonight. I'm running 4 hours tonight, and that's what I'm doing. That's a workout, and you just commit to it. I would I didn't, it was like a Wednesday night or a Thursday night. I'm like, I don't have my kids tonight. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna run for 4 hours. Like, you want to ride yet? Or
Right.
But yeah, and it is like it's rewarding, it's gratifying, it's also humbling too. It's humbling, and I think you had mentioned earlier why we beat up ourselves a lot. 'Cause I think once you start doing all these things, and Ironman, this, that, at least this is how I feel. People hold this high expectation of you, especially when you're doing like group fitness, to always be the fastest, the strongest, the quickest. They don't, they're not voicing it, but they automatically, expect it. So if you're having an off day, even me, like, I feel pressure.
Right.
Because I'm not at where I was 7 years ago. Like, I can't do as many pull-ups. I don't know how many I could do with a 40-pound weighted chain now, because I think those days are over.
Yeah.
Like, I can walk with the weighted chain, but you know what I mean. And it's like, and in theory, do I think I could do another race like that if I trained? Yes. My biggest fear at this point, it would be injury.
Right.
Because if something else happens again, especially with my ankles, like, I'm done.
Right.
Like, I mean, I don't. There's been time in class now where my ankle just gave out for no reason, and it's almost like I wish I broke it, because I wouldn't have all the torn and stretched tendons. So that's another big fear too.
No, I totally get that. That's it's a brutal. Just running downhill.
Yeah.
Just that alone. Forget everything else in the race.
Yeah.
That alone.
Yeah.
Your chances of injury.
Right.